Our themed species this week comes in a variety of sizes, colors, and they're known for their strong sense of smell and sharp teeth, Brie.
Yes, they are found in oceans all over the world, from the shallows to the depths, and play a critical role in maintaining our marine ecosystems as apex predators. It's Shark Week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back, anglers, to our version of Shark Week, and we are so excited to have a special guest from Florida Coast Equipment and obviously a live studio audience with us ready to explore the world of Jaws. Right, Rick?
You're absolutely right, Brie. You know, the one thing that you need to know about sharks, it's a necessity. They clean up our oceans, you know, whenever we have fish kills or whatever it may cause a lot of food. But recently, in the last few years, they've gotten a little out of control. So I think the FWC is going to be faced with making some decisions on shark management pretty soon. Right,
we'll be talking about that a little later, but I'm sure our workbench wonder, Dave Farah, will have plenty to add. So let's say hello before we hammer ahead into our first region. Hello, Dave.
Hammer ahead. That's very, I see what you did there.
That's what I'm here for.
We're going to be talking about how to catch some of these sharks, you know. They're a blessing and a curse. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to turn them into a blessing.
Perfect. I love that. All right, we're taking our first bite out of the Fish Bites East region with Captain Mike Holliday, and the sharks are everywhere, inlets, beaches, offshore, you name it. Go for it, Holliday.
Yeah, you know, there's no lack of sharks in my region. The best shark fishing takes place on the beaches and in the inlets from really now through the fall mullet run as the blacktip and spinner shark populations move into the beach to chase the bait fish schools. You can catch sharks on the north side of all the inlets and in places like Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Bathtub Reef, Walton Rocks, and Navarro Cove. We've also got all the sharks you want to pull on along the offshore reefs, particularly off Palm Beach County waters, where you'll find everything from hammerheads and massive bull sharks to dusky, lemon, and sandbar sharks. Along the beaches, a live or dead mullet, ladyfish, and jack. That's the way to go. We're starting to already see some mullet pushing south, so there's going to be plenty of bait to use. Offshore, you can use anything from a live mullet or blue runner to a small jack crevalle or a bonita. Average shark in my region, inshore is like 100 pounds. Offshore, anywhere from 200 to 400 pounds and may exceed even 1,000 pounds. I got a photo that of Mike Percy. He got that spinner shark to eat a chunk of Spanish mackerel. They were fishing on the north side of the St. Lucie Inlet with Captain Quinton Hall. And then staying inshore, we're at the summer peak of snook along the beaches and in the inlets in my region. The south side of Jupiter Inlet, Hope Sound Beach, south and north beaches and Fort Pierce, all those areas are seeing good concentrations of fish. At the same time, the Lake Worth and Juneau Piers and all the inlets are holding fish, as are most of the bridges that are near the inlets, let's say within a mile or two. And the bridge bites in those areas have been after dark. On the beach, start your day throwing a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad in really just about any color. You can also throw pilchers, mullet, or if you want to throw flies, any baitfish pattern. In the inlets, croakers, sardines, and thread fins are the top baits, while topwater plugs and saltwater assassin Artemis shads and the mullet colors are what's working on the bridges at night. Average snook's going to be 10 to 15 pounds. I got a photo, this great shot that Tyler Perret sent me of a snook that he got to eat a fly at night around one of the bridges in Stewart.
Man, that's a nice fish. All right, let's go offshore, Mike.
Well, the summer sailfish bite is still going strong, but the action is pushed offshore in anywhere from 120 to 240 feet of water. You want to look for the fish around the weed lines and color changes, and really anywhere you see a lot of flying fish. Seems like they're hatching right now, and there's a lot of small ones out there. The boats that are doing the best on sailfish are flying kites and fishing live pilchards, redfins, or goggle eyes, but you know, you can just troll ballyhoo or swim in mullet and do well and still pick up a fish or two. Average sailfish in my region right now is 30 to 50 pounds. Captain Eric Davis of Vero Beach sent me this shot of a sailfish that he caught in 170 feet of water, and that fish ate a live threadfin. And, staying offshore, the best thing going in blue water right now is the snapper bite. And it's a mixed bag of mutton, yellowtail, mangrove, and lane snappers. The muttons and yellowtails have been strong along the reef off Juneau Beach in like 90 feet of water. out to about 110, and also around the Loran Ledge. The lanes and the big mangrove snapper, that action's on the 6 Mile Reef and the 65-foot ledge off Martin and St. Lucie counties, all the way up into Indian River counties, all the way up to Bethel Shoals. You can anchor up and chum with ground chum and glass minnows, or you can drift and drop down a bait with just enough lead to touch bottom. For bait, anything from a squid to a pilchard, threadfin, or sardine, cigar minnow, live or dead is going to work. Average snappers anywhere from 2 to 3 pounds, but we're seeing the muttons up to 10 pounds or more. And I got a photo of a good mutton. Captain Chris Britton sent me the shot of a mutton that they got off the Loran Tower Ledge. They caught that fish on a grunt plug.
Yeah, he sure did. All right, let's talk about some bass fishing. What do you got this week?
Yeah, the high water levels on Lake Okeechobee have the fish push, kind of back into the marsh, but only in a handful of locations. And it's easy to figure out where the fish are because all the boats are concentrated in those areas between Lakeport and Buckhead Ridge. I was talking to Captain Nathan Shellen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He's saying there's still a pretty good frog bite in those areas, particularly at first light. If you can find some bluegill beds, you can throw a watermelon red glitter colored Bass Assassin little tapper or a chartreuse topwater plug and do well. The heat has been brutal, so you want to be on the water before dawn and looking for the schooling bass bite around the shad schools near Tin House Cove and Cochran's Pass and in the boat channels near the mouth of the Kissimmee River. And all-wife colored vapor shad or white spinnerbaits or lipless crankbaits, all those are going to work on the schooling fish right now. Average bass, 1 to 3 pounds, and it's up, 15 to 20 fish morning on Lake O. But it's over early, guys. 10 o'clock and the game's over.
That sounds like what's going on the flats and saltwater. Thank you so much for starting us off this week, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots. He says inshore, the flounder on Jensen Beach Causeway, live finger mullet pilchards, or white curly-tailed fish bites will work for those flounder. And then offshore, the kingfish on the 6 Mile Reef between Stewart and Jensen Beach, live sardines, thread fins, or blue runners on an R&R wire rig is going to work for them.
10 o'clock and it's over.
It's over.
Oh, man. All right. Pick a shark, any shark in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region, and Captain Jeff Hageman will have you on him. Tell us the details, Hag.
Sharks, we've got them, and we've got all kinds, all different species: blacktips, sharknose, bulls, bonnetheads, hammerheads, makos, tigers. We got a bunch of sharks in our region. Pick your tackle, depending on the size shark you're after. Wire leader, of course, is a must. Beaches and passes are a great place to fish. Skyway Bridge has always been a great place to fish if you don't have a boat. Chum, and more chum. The more chum you can put in the water, the more of the sharks you're going to get come into your area, and better chances you're going to be able to catch them. Current flow is a necessity, so make sure you're tied strong and you got good current flow, and especially like you're fishing a pass or a bridge, you send that scent over a large area. Also, offshore, we have a lot of reefs and wrecks that are holding a lot of spinner sharks right now, and black tips and sharp noses. Right now, don't forget those extra long hookouts to keep your fingers away from those sharp teeth. And as far as bait go, anything oily in a fish, bonita, mullet, stingrays, barracuda, they all work well. Anything really oily. And I got a great photo here of Captain Bo Johnson with doing a little shark wrangling.
That looks like a hug to me.
All right, let's go. What else you got for us this week, Cap?
Captain Rob Davenport, Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete, reports a good scamp bite right now. He's been in anywhere from 175 to 250 feet of water. With water temps being so warm right now, you want to get out early morning, just like Mike was saying, and late evening has been the best bite. Anywhere from 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader, 8-ounce lead, 6-aught trocar circle hook has been working very well. He said bait-wise, you want to tip that threadfin herring with a little bit of squid would be his best suggestion right now for the bite. Moving on inshore, the snook bite remains strong in the lower half of the region. Reports coming in Tampa Bay to Crystal River. In Tampa Bay, we want to look for fish around the mangrove points with good current flow from St. Pete to Anclote. Look for fish around the beaches and passes, jetties, bridges, and docks. From Hudson to Crystal River, you want to fish those outer barrier islands right now. Live pinfish and live sardines, either free-lined under a cork, will work great in all these places. 2 to 4 foot of 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, a 2 to 4-aught circle hook. Those trocars are really working well for me, so I would suggest using them. Be careful handling fish right now. We got that hotter water temp, and when you're releasing a snook after he gives you that hard battle, take a little extra time, take some care, and release them. Get those fish saved for your next trip out. Captain Mario Costello from Tall Tales Charters out of Ozella Keys Marina reports a good trout bite right now. He's fishing the deeper potholes and mangrove edges shorelines from St. Martin's River all the way to Little Homosassa River. He's using a free-line pinfish on a 4-aught circle hook along the edges and holes and drop-offs. Light leader is a must. They got crystal clear water right now. He's dropped down to 12 to 15-pound fluorocarbon leader. Keep from spooking those trout. Trout right now are ranging anywhere from 15 to 20 inches. And I got a photo here of Jessica Zacher with a nice 20-inch trout on a recent trip.
Looks great, bud. All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says the snook along the beaches and passes use sardines and pinfish for bait. And then offshore, groupers, reds, grouper, and gag groupers in 70-plus feet of water over ledges, rock piles, live rock, and you want to use a live pinfish for bait.
All right, well, you won't have to look hard to find sharks in the Casa Vieja Southwest region, but coming up first, Dave is giving us some Shark 101 for Academy Sportsman Outdoors rigs and techniques at the CCA workbench.
Yep, hopefully we're going to be able to tell you how to catch some of these sharks and keep all of our fingers at the same time.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thanks. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Shallow Sport. Legendary performance. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, Dave, we're here at the CCA workbench, and we're going to talk about the Academy Sportsman Outdoors rigs and techniques, so go ahead.
Well, sharks have been very controversial subject here in Florida for a while. We've been seeing a lot more of them, and, they impact recreational fisheries, and it's just the way it is. But I'll be honest with you, after traveling the world, every place I've ever been in the world where there was a lot of sharks, there was really good fishing going on. Right. And it's, they go hand in hand. A good healthy shark population is usually indicative of a good healthy fish population, and vice versa. You got to have both. So, we got to try to do what we can to limit the interactions between the recreational anglers and the sharks. And one of the things that we do to get sharks to come to us is chum. Right. And that's how we catch them. We put a lot of chum in the water. Sharks are very attuned to scents in the water, can really detect very minute amounts of blood and fluid in the water, and so they come to it when they smell chum or something in the water. They come straight to it. Same thing with vibrations, low frequency white noise vibrations, which is the noise a fish makes when it's on the hook. That bzz, 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 like that, that burring noise, that really gets the sharks to come as well. So that's another thing, when we're hooking these bottom fish, they'll come and try to eat our fish. Right. So, but we're gonna have, if we're targeting these things, we're gonna have to use wire, because sharks have all these teeth. They're incredibly old animals. Since 400 million years, they haven't really changed that much. And so they're continuously shedding teeth, and those really sharp teeth. So we have to use wire leaders. And this is a pretty much of a regular shark rig. If you go someplace to buy a shark rig, you're going to see something like this. Usually a cheap 3-way swivel, which you really you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, because a lot of times these shark rigs go away when you hook a great big animal or something. Right. So you got a cheap 3-way swivel, a nice bank weight to however much you need to hold the bottom, and a good wire leader. And this is single strand wire leader, which I like to use when I'm fishing for sharks. It slides through their teeth real easily. Right. It's easy to tie a new leader on if you kink one up. You can make really as long leaders as you want. Sharks have a tendency to like to roll when they get hooked up. And they will roll up in your leader, and if you don't have a long enough leader, they can roll all the way up past your weights and stuff and get into your monofilament.
Right.
And then that rough skin, because sharks have rough skin, they can just wear through your leader that way as well.
Correct.
There's some other wire that we can use. This is a single, a braided wire, 7x7 strand wire. And what's the great thing about this wire is you can see is it's very loose and limber. And you can make as many different lengths or, as you want. And this actually works well, if you're wanting to fish with lures. You can use this wire on lipless plugs and stuff like that, or even topwater plugs, because sharks really like to eat a topwater plug. If you got them up in a chum slick and they're eating like crazy, you throw a big popper in there on this kind of wire leader. Right. You're gonna catch them.
And it doesn't impede the action
of the lure as much. And you can put that. You can use that stuff for wahoos and everything else. This last, I got some last little wire here. This is Surflon. It's a coated wire, and again,
what's the purpose of coating?
Well, it keeps it from corroding as much. You can use them over and over again. I use the coating, if you notice on that where that hook is attached, I don't even have to put any crimps or any other hardware on there. I can just twist up that Surflon really tight and then hit it with a lighter, and it's not going anywhere.
I see that.
I've put that on a press and everything, and you're just not going to get it to break. All circle hooks. We want to try to use a circle hook. Sharks, they have all those teeth, so we want the hook to find its way in the corner of the mouth, so none of our leader is rubbing back and forth.
Right.
And if you let a shark eat that circle hook and that bait all the way down, when it comes to the corner of his mouth, most of the leader is going to be hanging out of his mouth and not in the way. Good baits for them are barracudas, bonita strips, but barracudas and ladyfish, for some reason, they really like to get back at barracudas. They hate barracudas.
Right.
And you can hang a barracuda off your boat, butterfly it, and let them hang and flop in the water. Automatic shark.
Yeah,
they're coming.
100%.
They're coming to that barracuda for some reason. I don't know what it is about the smell or whatever, but they really.
That barracuda stank.
Yeah, they do. They do stink.
It's horrible.
They do. They smell a little bit. Just make sure you don't put them in the boat. We got a lot of pictures of people with, pictures of little sharks in the boat. Those things can spin around on their tail. There are no bones in a shark, so they can turn around and get you really quick.
Great advice.
Unless you're Bo Johnson.
Leave the hook in
get
them
him on
if
and you just
possible.
hug them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hug a shark, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Not a tree. Okay, whether you enjoy a good shark fight or not, the Casa Vieja Southwest region is slapped full. So let's see where they are, or more like where they aren't, with Captain Ronnie Houston. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, thanks to Dave and Rick, the rigs and the techniques have been taken away. So I'm going to give you the simplest way to catch them in my region. The easiest way to catch sharks in my region would be fishing the inshore and nearshore wrecks throughout the whole region. Because they have become a nuisance over the last couple of years, your nearshore wrecks, your passes, and shorelines are actually holding numbers. The best way to find them would be at your lower tides. You can sight fish them because you can see them actually cruising the shorelines out of the water. Your nearshore wrecks, because of structure, are also holding plenty. But in both cases, large live baits, butterfly like mullet, ladyfish, jacks, just to name a few, or cut baits or large bait plugs on the bottom. And for sight casting, have some baits already ready, prepared, cooled on ice. And once you see one, just pull it out of the cooler, hook it up. You don't have to be accurate, just toss it in the vicinity. The scent will bring the shark to the bait. And if you're specifically targeting them like we're talking about now, then I do strongly recommend your heavier leaders, 6 to 8 circle hooks like Dave was mentioning, but then also having a trace of wire. Now, still on the inshore side, the redfish. Now, the bite up in the north ends of the region, like the west wall and east wall, have been producing plenty of numbers, but at various sizes. And once you find them, they're going to be grouped up. The bite has been very good, especially, which is odd, on the higher stages of the tide, but you got to get up under the bushes. You got to be using cut baits like mullet, ladyfish, and shrimp on either 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce jig heads, depending upon the current, or simply using knocker rigs. Now, on your lower stages on the flats and edges, want to be fishing in areas of grouped up mullet. Now, you can also use cut baits in those areas, but artificials have been working well, especially topwater walk the dog lures and maybe bone or chrome. quarter-ounce and half-ounce gold spoons this time of the year, August, September, to be catching them on the spoons, especially in the schools. But also dark color paddle tails on the jig head brought through the schools or roaming mullet. The vibration of the paddle tail is going to hopefully get you a bite. And I got a prime example of some nice redfish in the last couple of weeks. Joe has been catching simply using cut bait. Now, in the offshore report, a little bit different this week. The black grouper. You know, Capt. Bo Johnson to the north has been on a consistent black grouper bite the past few weeks. You know, while he has been red snapper fishing, the only difference is he's telling me he's only catching these blacks in depths of 155 to 175 feet of water. So anything shallower or deeper, he's not catching the blacks. He's not having success. He's also fishing the bottom, and he's also catching some flatlining, which has also been odd. All fish that he's told me he's caught, all the blacks, are on frozen baits on the bottom or like I said, flatlining. But his best bait for these blacks right now, for some reason, has been cigar minnows frozen. He's telling me bigger reels like 6,000 series spinning reels and heavier rods, he said, to pull these bigger fish up. And here's a couple beautiful black grouper caught in the last 2 weeks while fishing with Captain Bo. And you know Bo knows he gets the job done. Last species is going to be the permit. That bite has also been great throughout the region, but reports this week from Marco to Fort Myers Beach, fishing wrecks and artificial reefs in depths of 40 to 60 feet of water early morning or slicker days before the sea breeze. We're finally starting to get in the rain, so you want to beat the storms. Live crabs, free line for just a little weight to get them down in the current, but also you can get on the trolling motor and use your anchor mode or make several drifts in and around the structure, letting the wind guide you across. There's a nice permit recently caught while fishing with the Beddells. And I can also tell you, we're talking about sharks. You're out there fishing for these permits. You know, reports to the south of Goodland, it's been tough getting them to the boat because of the sharks, but the reports I'm getting here in the last 2 weeks, Marco Island North has been better. There's not an abundance of sharks to help you with your opportunity and maybe landing the first permit.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Serenity Bait Company hotspots from the Southwest region. Ronnie says trout in Cape Hayes Point and Gasparilla Sound using Bass Sass and little P&Vs on a jig head, along with noise-making corks with paddle tails in 3 to 6 feet of water. And then offshore, the mangrove snappas on the wrecks and ledges in Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, 55 to 75 feet of water, chumming and using some cut bait, Brie.
All right, let's talk a little bit about CCA. Sharks are a species that can be entered in the Conservation Division of CCA. Florida Star presented by Yamaha to win some great prizes from PowerPole. Even though sharks play a vital role in the marine ecosystem, in recent years, we touched on this in the beginning of the show, it has become difficult for anglers to land a fish in some places before it is mauled by a shark. This depredation is detrimental to fish that could otherwise be released. So in response, federal legislation has been introduced that would create a task force responsible for improving coordination and communication across the fisheries management community in order to find a resolution. This is called the Shark Act. You can help by calling your U.S. representative to support the act and by registering for CCA Florida Star. Sounds about right?
Sounds perfect.
Sounds about right. All right, get ready for some reports coming from the Dynapack South and Startron Central West regions when we return here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report Shark Week.
Look at all the babies.
They're so cute.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by PowerPole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio Sunglasses, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Lenses, Sea Sucker, Easy On, Easy Off, Incredibly Strong, Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure, Kubota, Together We Do More, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA, and Yanmar ASV, a leader in compact equipment.
You know, Brie, a lot of people don't understand that the relationship between the propeller and the outboard, like a Yamaha, is very important to have the right size and the right kind of pitch.
Right.
So check out some of the stuff we learned at the boat show recently.
Okay.
Hey guys, as you can tell, I'm here at the boat show, and every year I'm always amazed at all the variety of different props that you see throughout the boat show. Now, Yamaha this year has introduced some new props that we want to talk to you about. Understanding what prop is going to best serve your applications is going to work best whenever choosing a prop. So if you're gonna run high up on a jack plate or you're gonna run in real shallow water, then you might want to run a 4-blade. A 4-blade is going to give you a better hole shot. It's going to allow you to run the jack plate up a lot higher, but it's also going to give you some pretty good fuel economy. So one of the boats, the propellers that I run on my Pathfinder 23 HPS is the Fusion 4. It's a great all-around prop for me. It allows me to carry a big load. I still get good fuel economy and good speed. I only sacrificing maybe 1 mile an hour on the top end. 3 blades are certainly going to be a lot faster, specifically if you're into the business of buying a bow lift prop so that you can get your hull out of the water. So like on our Maverick 18 HPX, we're running a 3-blade Pro Series propeller, which is a small diameter but a lot of pitch. So those are a couple key things that when you go to a Yamaha dealer, you want to tell them what you want. Now understand that your Yamaha is going to perform between 5,500 and 6,150 RPMs depending on the model. So the higher the RPMs, the more slippage you're going to have at the start off, and that's going to give you a great hole shot. So keep that in mind. Now, for you offshore enthusiasts, we introduced the XTO OS, which is offshore series, a few years back when we introduced the 425. Now we've come out with the XTO EC, which means extra cup. So we've given the propeller a bunch of extra cup here, but more importantly, we also went up in a variety of pitches so that the guys that are running big motor applications on big center consoles that are high performance boats, then you want to know that now we have the ability to have higher pitch 26, 27 pitch XTOs, and the EC stands for extra cup, which is going to hold better in those rough conditions. If you have any questions, you can go to your Yamaha dealer or you can go to YamahaOutboards.com.
No questions here, Rick. Props to you. That was good. If sharks are what you're after in the Dynapack Southeast region, Captain Jimbo Thomas says you won't have to look far, and they're probably eating half of your dinner even if you're not looking for them. Go for it, Jimbo.
That's correct, Brie, and hello to everybody there in the studio. You know, there's no shortage of sharks here in the Southeast region. And as a matter of fact, for offshore fishermen, even inshore fishermen, they become a real nuisance, attacking and eating a lot of our hooked fish. Now, the most common sharks that we encounter offshore are hammerheads, bulls, lemons, sandbars, and black tips. And you never know when a big tiger or even a mako shark might show up. More often than not, the sharks they're holding on the bottom, they're not swimming with their fins out of the water like you see on Jaws. So to really target them, the best bet is to fish a weighted piece of bait close to the bottom, anywhere from 120 to 400 feet of water. We like to use 30, 50, or even heavier tackle for most sharks, and you want to use some heavy wire leader like number 12 or number 9. You can go down to number 9 wire leader or cable, and 8/0 to 10/0 circle hooks. That completes our shark rig. Also, the inshore waters, they hold a lot of sharks as well, more than most people realize. There's plenty of big bulls, lemons, nurse, and even hammerheads. They hang around the inlets, the channel edges, and the deeper edges of the flats. And since the inshore waters are not as deep, you can get away with using a little bit of lighter tackle, but you still want to use wire leader and a decent-sized circle hook. Favorite baits for both inshore and offshore are bonita slabs and barracuda slabs, but when you get down to it, just about any piece of bait will work. Now, staying offshore, there's been more wahoos around than usual in the past week, at least in my opinion. Most of them have been caught on the troll using a planer or a wireline outfit to get your bait down deep, 3.5 drone spoons working, or a feather and a bait behind that planer or that wireline. The red drone spoon's been getting a lot of bites. And then there's you want to look for these wahoos in the blue water, anywhere from 120 to 500 feet of water, and troll anywhere from 6 to 10 knots. There's also been a few wahoos caught on the live baits fished under the kite or on the drift, but most of them have been on the troll, and most of them have been in the 20 to 30 pound range. Also, anything floating offshore has been holding wahoo. You can try dropping a live bait under that floater or try trolling a deep diving lure. And most of the wahoos caught under the floaters are generally a little bit smaller in the 5 to 15 pound range. Got a photo here, and this is Ken Cook from Bonita Springs. with a nice wahoo that we caught last weekend off Miami, and he ate a bonita strip behind the planer. Now moving inshore, catch and release snook fishing has been really good in the inlets and also off the beaches. Snook are schooled up in all the inlets of the region. They're being caught on live baits. You want to fish pinfish, pilchers, herrings, croakers, and fish them near the bottom on a Jupiter rig. A lot of these snook have been really big, up into 20 pounds or bigger, so you want to use some heavy leader, 50-pound fluoro or mono, and 5.0 to 6.0 circle hooks. If you don't have any live bait available, you can try working R&R flare hawk jigs or 4 to 5 inch bass assassin jerk baits along the bottom. Both the incoming and outgoing tides have been good when the water's been murky. Otherwise, the outgoing tide has been good early in the morning or late in the afternoon into the evening. There's also been some snook roaming the beaches, especially in the north end of the region. These fish can be sight fished early in the morning off the beach or by boat using live baits or 4 to 5 inch jerk baits in green and white and pearl colors. Got another photo here. This is Gaston with a nice snook he caught off the beach on Key Biscayne. I don't know what he's using for bait, but it's a nice one.
That is a
Now,
nice
if
one.
you want to do some easy inshore fishing by boat or foot, there's been some great largemouth and peacock bass fishing in the Everglades and the lakes and canals throughout the whole region. The largemouth bite has been best in the early morning or late in the afternoon using live shiners, artificial worms, and crankbaits. If you want to sleep in, those peacocks are biting best in the afternoon on small live baits and small lipless minnows and chartreuse, silver and black, and green and silver. In the deeper water, salt plastics and root beer color have been getting a lot of bites. Also look for both the largemouth and the peacocks in areas with clear water and current around the canal mouths, bridge abutments, or any other structure. I got another photo here. This is Andy Lauderdale with a beautiful Everglades peacock bass.
It sure is.
Very nice.
Thank you for all the pictures this week, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Black Oak LED hotspots for the southeast region. Inshore, cast live and artificial baits early in the morning to snook, cruising off of the beach, and then offshore, look for the wahoos, fast trolling drone spoons, feathers, and baits on a wire line or a planer in 150 to 300 feet of water.
All right, now let's get Captain Jeff Page on the line in the Startron Central West region so he can lead us in the right direction when it comes to catching a shark. Give us all the tips, Jeff.
All right, well, you know, being Shark Week, people do get excited about the shark fishing in my region, and it's no doubt, we don't have a lack of them. Pretty much the entire Gulf of Mexico, whether you're fishing off of reefs, wrecks, ledges, any type of hard bottom that holds other fish, sharks are going to be on the scene. It's pretty much become just standard procedure if you're going out permit fishing or if you're tarpon fishing along the beach, not to expect to see a few sharks. Now, what kind of sharks do we have? In our region, probably the number one is the black tips, but when there's lots of tarpons, the bull sharks show up along with the hammerheads. And then, of course, we have spinner sharks. And when you get out deeper, especially in the wintertime, we do have some makos. And then, a few tigers. But bull shark, hammerheads, and black tips are our number ones. And then we have a lot of small sharks, little bonnet heads that get in on the grass flats, along with the juvenile-sized black tips, which are fun to catch and can be caught on light tackle. But your bigger sharks, you're going to want to use at least a 6.0 conventional reel or a heavy-duty 8,000 size or bigger spinning rod. And, of course, you're going to want to rig it with wire and big hooks. Bait, anything, like a mullet, a jack, bonita, mackerel. You've told me about butterfly and mackerel. Anything that's oily and stinky and it's going to put out some scent. Sometimes you need weights on your rig. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes the weight of the mullet or the big bonita will get it down to the bottom. All that shipping channel area in the Skyway is great shark fishing as well. is inside the bay. And then in Charlotte Harbor, same kind of thing. That deeper harbor out in the middle where all that bait fish and stuff roam, there's sharks out there. You know, the one thing about handling sharks, be careful. You know, you got a lot of people that like to take pictures and do stupid stuff with sharks, and they can bite you. Saying that, my picture tonight is of a man that's not scared to handle them. Shark extraordinaire, Captain Bo Johnson of Tenacity Charters down in Pine Island.
All right, man, let's stay offshore. What do you got?
Tubera snapper. You know, I don't ever mention them, but we just had the Sarasota Slam, and a bunch of different teams caught them. It was a nighttime bite, and they were out at least 150, 200 feet of water over ledges and springs, and they were using whole big hand-sized pinfish and some dead bait. But the picture I have tonight is of Captain Tyler from Chase and Tail Charters. That's his wife and his daughter with the two bears that they won with.
Go inshore, bub.
Inshore redfish, that time of year, redfishing each week gets more predictable. Around the oyster bars down in Turtle Bay, it's been really good fishing, especially on the high tides, and then up around the Long Bar area and Rattlesnake Key to the north. Like I said, the higher stages of the tide, look for the fish to push up along the shorelines of the oyster bars, and you can use cut pinfish, live pinfish. I've been using the 1/4-inch jig head with a 4-inch Gulf shrimp in the new translucent Scooby color, and that's been real effective, along with the Johnson 1/4-ounce gold spoon. My redfish photo tonight is of Captain Billy Alstrom with one of our winning redfish from the Sarasota Slam this weekend, 39-incher.
Nice.
And my last species, snook, heat of the summer, and there's still lots of good snook action. I would stay in the Gulf or in the passes. 5-bait, pinfish, pilchards are going to work real good. If you're into throwing lures, it's tough to beat that Berkeley stick shad in the suspending 110 size. Nighttime fishing's been really good, live silver mullet and ladyfish around the Venice jetties, Longboat Pass. My last picture tonight's a really cool picture of a young captain named Dakota Moore. He had to go in the mangroves and retrieve that snook out of the bushes.
Good job, Dakota. All right, Captain Page, great job by you. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says a good number of Spanish mackerel are holding on both the Skyway Fishing Pier north and south, as well as up in Tampa Bay around the middle grounds, free line live baits on a long shank hook and then or troll lip plugs or spoons. And then offshore, the permit bite is on fire with calm conditions. Fish are holding on most of the reefs and wrecks in 3 to 7 mile range, and the live pass crabs are going to be your best bait.
All right, well, coming up September 28th through the 30th is the Maverick Boat Group Owners Tournament out of Hawks Cay Resort in Duck Key. Do not miss out on this opportunity to join other owners for this fun-filled fishing tournament combined with awards, dinner, and a raffle with fantastic prizes. Make sure to get registered by September 1st to secure your spot. I can't believe I'm already saying September.
All right.
All right, we're lurking around the Front Runner Boats Northeast region next, but first Dave is lurking at the CCA workbench, ready to sink his teeth into some Taco Marine new products. Dave, sinking.
I'm going to sink my teeth.
Oh,
no, I'm not.
You did it.
Yeah.
Rick's going to do it. We'll be back.
That's a beautiful little shrimp.
Yeah, it is.
It's not real, Dave.
I know.
I know.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and we're going to troll the edge with Taco Marine, Dave. And you know what? New products is what we talk about.
Right, and we're going to start off real quick there with the Eagle Claw Circle C live and chunk bait hook. It's a big, robust hook, made for chunk baits, or either putting it on, using it on a big live bait for, a billfish or something like that, or a big shark, as we were talking about today. Those are the 9.0s right there. They come in a pack of 5 or up to 50. They're forged, non-offset, a true circle hook, so they're really, really strong. You get that thing in the corner of the mouth, and it's going to be really, really hard to straighten it out. It's got a medium gauge wire, so it's heavy enough for most big game and big sharks as well.
Right.
So go to eagleclaw.com to get you those.
Okay.
Next, we've got the Pure Power Bait Bonga Shrimp. This is a new shrimp.
From Berkeley.
Yes, it's infused with the Power Bait formula. It's got the nice shrimp shape to it with the fantail on there. Makes it just really glide real slow down to the bottom, especially when you put it on a swim hook like that they recommend on the package there, like that one. They come in 11 different colors: chartreuse, gold, new penny, pearl white, glow. I like that one right there, that little
pink.
Yeah, I like that one a
Yeah,
lot.
man.
That one looks really good. And these will be coming out in September. I also like that penny one there.
Yeah, it got a lot of really cool colors.
Yeah, and
sure.
this is new fish stuff they put in there, lasts 18 times longer, says right there on the package, than it used to. So, once you get that power bait out there, it gets the attention of fish.
Yeah, man.
Purefishing.com to go
Cool.
get those.
All right, tell us about this new apparel.
Next, we got some Penn apparel. These, they're headwear.
Yes.
Hats, I guess, is what you'd call the headwear.
That's what it usually goes on.
They're
Dave.
constructed with a really nice wicking material and a fast-drying polyester that'll keep the color a lot longer. All the visor boards are made out of recycled plastic. So, you used to put your cap in the wash machine and boom, your bill was gone.
Right.
But you don't have to worry about that with these. They've got that nice polyester material inside.
Nice.
They're still, performance visor, duck camo, the trucker in 4 different colors. They got the sage and the gray sage and the duck camo.
Right.
Just really nice hats. And you can go online to purefishing.com. They're going to be selling them for like $30 a piece.
You will never see Ricky in a visor.
Man,
you know why? Because I look like the planet Saturn after I wear it all day in the sun.
I wore a visor one time in Australia, and I cooked the top of my head into an apple pie.
Yeah.
I had shaved my head and then went barramundi fishing on a rainy day and just...
Where do we go for the pin apparel, Dave?
Purefishing.com.
Purefishing.com.
And most pin dealers will probably carry those as well.
All right.
The Deluxe Trident rod holder from Taco Marine. This turns one rod holder into 3, especially if you're a kite fisherman. This is a great thing to have because you can keep all 3 kites in one, your kite rods and reels in one place, and do all your adjustments back and forth in a nice compact little spot, and just keeps everything organized and a lot easier to do, especially when you're using kites or other live bait applications.
I love this material here to
Yes.
save your reels from getting.
They got these are 9 3/4 inch, really wide, so they'll hold most rods and reels. There's the 1.5 inch shaft on the bottom will go into most standard rod holders as well. They got the eye strap on there if you want to put different 3 or 4 different rod leashes to it.
Right.
So your stuff stays in
Because
the
when
boat.
you're kite fishing, sometimes you get that angle and it's rough. It'll snatch your whole thing out. The trident will be flying through the air with your expensive pin rod and reel combos.
I wouldn't want to see that. But it comes with a nice mesh bag as well, so you can rinse it off in the bag and store it in the bag. And it comes with a 3-year warranty. You notice it's got all this polished aluminum with a really nice welds on there. It's made really well. It's
very nice product.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Taco Marine.
TacoMarine.com.
All right.
Sounds good, Rick.
YourTheBomb.com this week,
Oh, well,
bud.
why not?
I really just want you to put the visor on. Come on, Marisol. Let's just see it just for a second. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn.
It's not that bad. I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to wear it in the studio. All right.
Okay.
Could have
It's
been
decided.
Uranus. You're better off.
Oh, no. If you love If you love Yamaha, Yamaha's loving on you during Yamaha's Sunset Summer Sales Event. Get up to 5 years warranty coverage on a boat package with eligible new 30 to 300 HP outboards, or up to 7 years with eligible 425 HP outboards. Also, if you purchase an eligible 2.5 to 25 HP model, you can receive up to a $300 dealer credit. Visit your local Yamaha dealer today for more details. All right, there are a ton of fun ways to get on the shark action in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. So let's see what those are with Captain Tommy Derringer, who's also a visor lover, aren't you, Tommy?
That's right, Brie. I love a visor. But I'm more of a hat guy these days. But yeah, you're right, Brie. There's a lot of cool ways to catch sharks. You know, it's the perfect time of year to talk about sharks in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. There's all types of sharks around throughout the summer and the fall, and really kind of year-round. Quite a few different ways to catch them in my region. You can target the shark in the pogie pods along the beach by just netting some pogies, and then either use them alive right around the bait pods, or probably even better would be to create your own chum slick by just cutting up some of those pogies and then throwing them overboard, and you're going to chum those sharks up. It's a pretty consistent way to do it. Another popular and really fun way to catch a shark is to get behind the shrimp boats that we have working along the coast this time of year. If you can time it right and be there when they toss their bycatch overboard, it can be a wild feeding frenzy. Looks like a washing machine of sharks, like a Sharknado, if you will. Have you guys seen that one? And you can sight fish those sharks, which is actually a lot of fun. You can catch them on the fly rod if you want. You're going to find all kinds of different species of sharks behind the shrimp boats. Some of my favorites are the spinner sharks. They go airborne when they're hooked, and sometimes they clear like 8-10 foot, and it's spinning through there the whole time. They're a lot of fun. And we hooked a bunch of those spinners this week while we're fishing for tarpon in the pogie pods. Now, we also have some big bonnet head sharks inshore, and those are a lot of fun on light tackle. They'll absolutely scream the drag on a smaller reel. You know, those bonnet head sharks, they're mostly crustacean eaters, so something like a halved blue crab or live or dead shrimp, those are going to be great baits for those guys. And, you know, sharks are a great way to get a kid or someone new to fishing hooked up on something big. And it's great practice in learning how to fight a big fish like a big tarpon or a big marlin or sailfish or something. Really fun fish. Now, also offshore, guys, kingfish. Talking about kingfish again this week. I feel like I've been talking about them every week. But that's because they've been chewing like crazy, especially the latter half of the summer. You know, there's still some beach fish around, but the nearshore reefs, they've really started to hold some good numbers of small to medium-sized mackerel. You know, a good buddy of mine, he's been catching a bunch of those macks on diving plugs, just trolling around some diving plugs. So if you don't feel like netting some bait, or if you don't want to throw the cast net, some of those diving plugs might be worth a shot. Now, that being said, the good old pogie on a wire stinger rig, you know, that can't be beat, and that's probably going to account for most of the king mackerel catches. And I've got a photo here. My good buddy, Captain Steve Cascio from Summer School Charters, he sent me this picture of his client, Jake, with a big old kingfish they caught just off of St. Augustine Beach. Now, moving inshore, guys, the redfish bite's been pretty good this week. You know, it actually almost cool. I don't want to say it cooled off, but it's not quite as hot this week. And with the early morning first of incoming tide, we've had the reds have been showing themselves up in the really shallow stuff. They're chasing small shrimp and mullet. And they're a good target because they're backing and getting right on the edges of the creeks and the flats on that really low water. I saw a couple with their back out today. It's really cool. Now, as the tide pushes in, the redfish, they've been doing some crazy stuff up in that super skinny stuff. You're probably going to need a skinny water skiff or even a kayak or a paddleboard or something to chase those fish. And you can get out and wade a little bit too. And when you're doing that, I like to toss a saltwater assassin, elite shiner, or a sea shad on a light weighted weedless hook to those shallow fish. Now, they can be spooky, and that's going to make for a nice, easy, soft presentation. And speaking of skinny water redfish, I've got another picture here. Captain Justin LaFaro sight fished this redfish with me out of that Maverick HPX. I swear that fish was probably in 4 or 5 inches of water.
Oh, nice. What a terrible photo.
Tell us about the tarpon, bub.
Just kidding, it's beautiful.
Man, what a great tarpon season we're having this year. The tarpon are still in the bait pods on the beach, but they've started to show up here better inshore along the bridges and in the inlets and in some of the bigger flats and even in the creeks. The tarpon are going to start turning their attention to the mullet, as we get closer to the fall mullet run. And I've already seen some signs of the mullet run starting to show up in the surf. There's a few schools here and there, nothing crazy just yet, but it's coming. And if you net some big mullet right now, that would be a great bait for those tarpon. Free lining a mullet to rolling or busting fish, that's the way to go. You can also toss a large swim bait or a jerk bait to those fish. And I've been seeing a bunch of smaller tarpon in the creeks throughout St. Augustine. And those smaller tarpon, they really like to eat a big, extra large live shrimp if you can find them. Now, this is also the time of year the tarpon, along with those sharks we were talking about, they start stacking up behind the shrimp boats. And like I talked about before, just try to time it right. When they dump their bycatch, wait around to see if the tarpon start to feed on it. And I've got one last picture here. This is a picture that I took of one of my clients' tarpon going airborne right there in front of the St. Augustine Lighthouse.
Those are some great pictures as always, Tommy. You win the award. But we got to take time to look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says that the tarpon are in the inlets on the first of the incoming tide, or early in the morning, free line a big mullet to the rolling fish. And then offshore, sharks behind the shrimp boats and in the pogey pods chum around the pods and wait for the shrimpers to dump their bycatch.
All right, let's show our support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida Fisheries license plate for just $25. Proceeds for the redfish tag support protecting and enhancing Florida's saltwater and marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. Make sure you visit your local DMV or visit redfishtag.com.
You know, the cool part about that, Brie,
Yes.
is you can actually decide where you want to put your money.
That is nice.
You know, whether it's through habitat restoration, by attending a banquet, or certainly buying a license plate.
Right.
We have the ability to actually direct what we want the money to go to. That's kind of cool
Love
about
that.
CCA.
We go CCA. All right, we're following the man in the gray suit into the Real Legends Central East and the Enmar ASB Keys region. Plus, we're chatting with a very special guest from Florida Coast Equipment. But before we go, I want you to take a look at that QR code on your screen to enter into the world of all things fishing, including all of our social pages, fresh new website, and direct access for the sign up for our live studio audience for our bass show on September 30th. You get to be like these lovely people in our audience. We're having fun. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Well, as you can see, joining me from Florida Coast Equipment is my son, Colin Murphy. You know, Colin, last year we had the CEO of Florida Coast, Todd Bachman, in here, and he talked about a homestead store. So why don't you bring us up to speed with what's going on with that one?
Well, Dad, or I should say Ricky, first things first, the homestead location is up and running. It's doing great. We have full line of parts, service, warranty. If you guys need any sales, we got you covered for all your Kubota needs. The main reason that I came in here today, though, is to promote Florida Coast Equipment by itself. And mainly, you know, we are the Kubota dealer of choice in Florida. If you're a construction worker, if you're landscaping, if you're nursery, if you're a homeowner that owns a Kubota, we got you covered when it comes to parts, service, warranty, and even if you need a new machine, we got you guys covered.
How many locations we got, Kyle?
So around the state of Florida now, we have 13 locations, all the way from Ocala, all the way down to our homestead location.
And do we have parts in all of those?
We have immaculate parts store. In all of our stores, we have parts. State of the art in homestead. It's fully air conditioned now. There's about 2.5 bays full of parts completely.
So let's talk a little bit about the service.
If you guys need service, we're a one-stop shop. We have oil filters. We have everything that you need. You need an oil change, come on in. If you have a warranty issue, bring the machine in. We'll get it solved for you. Florida Coast is the way to go.
What about finance?
If you guys are looking for finance, Kubota does have some of the best financing options right now. As far as landscaping goes, you can get 0% for 60 months on some of our lawnmowers. If you're looking at tractors, you can do 72 months, 0%. And if you're doing construction equipment, mainly it's 0% for 36.
Quickly, the website.
Website is floridacoasteq.com, or you can call me at 305-878-0096.
All right, good job, son.
I give you props, old man. This ain't easy.
Oh, knocked it out of the park.
Where are we going, Brie?
Making Poppy proud over there. All right, well, we are going into the shark region in the Real Legends Central East region. And you know, they've been a sideshow for a few weeks, but now they're the main character, and Captain Jim Ross is directing. So Jim, let's hear it.
Well, we've got a bunch of, I just want to reiterate, Florida Coast Equipment. I've got a Kubota. They pick it up, they service it, they bring it back. It's a fantastic place to take your product. Give them a shot. But going back to the man in the gray suit in my region, you can find him everywhere. Inshore, near shore, offshore, it doesn't really matter where you want to fish, we've got you covered. Inshore anglers can use big chunks of bait or live baits around the spoil islands along the ICW or around places like Haulover Canals and both of the inlets that are free-flowing, the Sebastian to the south and the Ponce to the north. They also like freshwater outflows like the Sebastian River, Crane Creek, Turkey Creek, this similar type of feeder creeks throughout the entire region. You'll find bull sharks in them, some small black tips, and some bonnet heads once in a while. And then offshore, you know, it's hard not to catch a shark offshore in my region. Basically, any offshore piece of structure is going to hold sandbars, bulls, and a variety of others. Blue runners, jack crevalles, chunks of barracuda, bonita, or any fish that you hook is fair game to those sharks. At Ponce Inlet, the anchored shrimp boats are doing really well, like Tommy was talking about. Use some shrimp boat bycatch. There's sharks up to about 300 pounds in my region. Today I had an 87-year-old fly angler on the boat. We were live jigging with pogies, getting them fired up, baiting and switching, pulling the pogie out of the way, throwing the fly in, and getting hooked up on the fly. So there's a lot of them out there. Justin Ross, my son, has got a picture here with a nice sandbar that they picked up the other day while they were slow trolling for king mackerel on 88 Reef. This is a very common sight in my region. Guys that are very familiar with the sandbars, we have tons of them. And now staying offshore, cobia have been doing really good on the same reefs. We've got a little bit of cold water swirling around out there. And if you find one of those cold water edges or a thermocline, you're going to find cobia. So look for them anywhere in about 60 to about 120 foot of water. You're going to find them obviously slow trolling with live baits, but sometimes they're just up on top of the structure. So if the cold water's up part of the way up the structure, but the rest of the structure sticks above the cold water, they'll hold right on top of it. So make sure when you go over a larger piece of structure like a wreck that you're checking that thing out really good with your sounder, because you can pick them up there. Most of our fish are running 36 to 42 inches. And I've got Captain Travis Tanner here with another picture of him and his son that were out not too long ago, and they got that fish out of 90 feet of water.
Nice. Let's go inshore, bub.
You know, once again, cold water or cool water, it's not everywhere, but up between Canaveral and Ponce, it's moving the flounder around. I got some really good reports up there. Some of the fish have actually moved inside, and you can get them on the flats. Their night guys are gigging them with, at lights at night, and anywhere from Oak Hill up to New Smyrna. That shrimp runs really strong here the last couple of months, and the flounder have been all along the ICW channel up there. The East Channel is also holding pretty good numbers of fish right now. Anywhere where you've got a little faster flow rate, and if you don't want to gig them, you can fish with mud minnows, live shrimp, saltwater assassin sea shads, fish bites. You can rig all of those on a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce jig head, and most of the flounder are running about 14 to 18 inches right now, but there's a few over 20 inches that you're going to find each night. And then my last species is tarpon, and like Tommy was saying, in the Northeast region, our Central East region right now has got good action, really good numbers of tarpon all along the beaches. Wherever you find bait, you're going to find those fish, as long as the water's a little bit cleaner. If you're finding the tarpon in the dirty water, they're spread out just like the bait is. So you want to try and find cleaner areas that are tight to the beach where they've balled the bait up. That's the key to getting really good bites right now. Bethune Beach, all the way to the False Cape, is holding pretty good numbers. But areas like Cocoa Beach, where the water continues to be dirty, like I was saying, from that beach renourishment and some of those dredging projects, you're going to find that they're a little more spread out, and it's not quite as good. But you still can catch them there. The shrimp boats outside of Ponce Inlet, especially the working shrimp boats, are doing much better than the sitting ones. The ones that are sitting have more sharks on them. So focus on those working boats if you're fishing out of there. And then I've got a really cool picture here. This fish was caught in Canaveral Bite last week on fly, and that angler was actually sight casting to fish that were streaming by his boat, just like you guys do down in the Keys, Rick.
That's pretty cool, Jim. Man, I appreciate all those cool photos, but it's nice to see guys fly fishing out of your region for the poon.
It really is.
All right, dude, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from Central East region. He says the snook at the inlet jetties use live pogies or croakers to fish them in up to 40 inches. And then offshore, the mangrove snappas on the reefs and the wrecks in 90 to 130 feet of water use chunk baits, live or small pilchers. And then mud minnows and fingerling mullets are going to work as well for fish up to 10 pounds.
All right, Rick. Well, we're going to need a bigger boat in the Yanmar ISB Keys region. And you know, Captain Sarah Stanzik is out today, but filling in for her is Captain Mike Towdy. Mike, good to hear from you. Let's talk sharks. It's been a while.
Brie? You guys want to talk about jaws?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, let's talk about it, bud.
All right. Well, you know, down here in the Keys, we got, you know, pretty much everything there is to offer. We have anything from little bonnet heads on the flats to your giant tiger sharks out in the deep, and lots of lemon sharks. You can find those out on the flats as well. And we got a lot of black tips down here. You can find those around your wrecks in the bay. And got your
how do you typically
your reef sharks out on the reef.
Yeah. How do you like to catch them, Mike? Sorry.
I like to use pretty much anything that's going to throw out a little smell. And definitely want to use some circle hooks and wire.
All right. You want to tell us what else is happening? How about, you got a shark picture here of Nick. Tell me about it.
Yeah, he was out there on the marathon humps and caught a big hammerhead.
Wow, that's a stud fish. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about inshore fishing. What about bonefish?
The bonefish have been biting really good early morning and late evening. The weather's been super hot, so they've been trying to get off the flats during the day. And when you're fishing with those, you want to use a live shrimp or a small crab, and you kind of want to try to lead your fish using light leader and a small hook or a jig.
All right, you're going to throw out. You want to make sure you.
We got a picture of Corey with a bonefish.
All right. Oh, that's a beautiful shot there. That's a nice fish too. All right, let's talk about some offshore fishing. This is where you make your money, big boy. So tell me about the blackfin tunas.
That's where it's at, man. It all starts with the live bait. Around here, we've been getting a lot of small pilchards around the beaches, looking for the birds diving and throwing on the piers, and looking for the birds diving out on the flats as well to try to find some of your bigger baits. And we've been using a 12-foot cast net to catch those.
So you load the well up, and then what do you do, bub?
You want to get out there to the hump, and you want to throw as many as you can afford to get rid of to see how many you can get behind your boat. Trying to save your bigger baits for a hook.
So let me ask you something. What size leader you typically like to use for those fish on the humps, bub?
I like to use a light leader, probably 30 pounds, and a small circle hook.
All right. And where do you hook the pilchards?
I like to hook them right through the nose, and I like to let them go back out like your yellowtail. You never want to let them look like they're being pulled. You want to look like they're running. That's a really good tip. You got a photo of a tuna for us? Yeah, I do. It's a nice sketch of tuna on the B&M. All right. One species to go, something I know you like to do. What about the lobsters? Any report? The lobster season is starting out very strong. People have been catching a lot of limits down here. The water's been nice and clear. The weather's been beautiful. There's been a lot of coral heads out there, lots of ledges and holes to look in, and they're super easy to find right now with this clear water that we have. So let me ask you, Mike, I know you love to cook them. How do you like to cook that lobster? Oh, there's nothing better than some garlic and butter, my boy.
Mm-hmm. With everything.
All right, tell me about this photo and we'll say goodnight. That is the Hosh family with their limit of lobsters. All right, bud, thank you so much for filling in for Sarah. We got to read the Shallow Sport Boats hotspot from the Florida Keys. He says that inshore, the bonefish bite is good early or late when it's not blazing hot on the flats. Look for the fish waking or just pushing water, cast ahead of them so that they can swim into your bait. And then offshore, blackfin tuna bite on the humps offshore. Try to get there early in the morning with the live bait like pilchers. This will give you the best chance to catch them.
Speaking of the humps, last time I fished with Mike Towdy, was on the humps.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
We were jigging.
We were. That was fun.
You were getting jiggy with it, and you out-jigged me.
I did out-jig you. But you've recently gone with Mike Towdy, haven't you?
Yes, we went and filmed a Sportsman's Adventure episode for 2024. Big tarpon at the bridge.
Big tarpon at the bridge. That's what I like to see. All right, let's talk about some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. First is the Florida Keys Lionfish Derby and Festival, September 7th through the 10th, ending with a final weigh-in of invasive lionfish catches along with a public festival at Postcard Inn in Isla Mirada. Next is the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship, where anglers fish for 7 species starting September 15th, taking place within the boundaries of Everglades National Park, with proceeds supporting the park and Florida Bay. Then is the Key Largo Rotary's Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, which allows fishing day and night from Friday, September 22nd to Sunday the 24th, then presents awards for releases of redfish, snook, and trout in adult and junior divisions. And finally, the Isla Mirada Fall All Tackle Bonefish and Permit Championship, October 9th through the 11th in Isla Mirada, where anglers fish for 3 days in 3 divisions, artificial, fly, and bait. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. Alrighty, we're headed up to the Sea Sucker Panhandle region for our last adventure of Shark Week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends. Available at bellsflorida.com. Dynapack. Your partner on the road. And Taco Marine. Troll the edge.
Today's power pole tip of the week is becoming more stealth with your poles. Now guys, think about this. We have 3 speeds on our power poles, and the one thing that we need to understand is that we can manipulate those speeds. We can go fast, medium, or stealth mode. Now whenever I'm making a move from an oyster bar over to a point, and I know I'm only gonna pick up the poles a few inches at a time, I simply click it into the stealth mode so that I can keep the noise level down to a very, very quiet approach. Now, you guys that love to bass fish and you're fishing fish that are on beds, that approach is the same thing. Make sure that you go into the stealth mode so that you can sneak up on those beds, put your poles down, and the bass doesn't know you're there. Keep in mind that by simply manipulating the speeds through your multifunction switch or through the app using the key fob, this will make a great approach, and that's today's power pole tip of the week. You know, Brie, the cool part about going into that stealth mode, you only got to pick up the poles to make those subtle movements about this far.
Right.
So that's what I like about that, because you can just move it, pick it up about this much, move over 20 yards, 50 yards, whatever it is, leaving them down, and then push the button, and you hardly made any noise.
Right.
That's what I like about that.
They're essential to a great fishing day.
And you know, the new thing for me is I remember before boats had power poles.
Oh, back in my day.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You were a baby. But now, a boat doesn't even look normal unless it's got 2 power poles sticking up. Just like a flats boat is not a flats boat unless it has the tower.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool how the shape of one product can change the way we're used to looking at boats.
The entire industry, pretty much.
Love it.
Love it. All right, from the sea to the shore, you can target different types of sharks in the Sea Sucker Panhandle region. So let's get Captain Pat Deneen's professional opinion on the matter. Close us out, Pat.
Brie, if you want sharks, we have sharks. In the Panhandle, they're both inshore and offshore. With that being said, the shark fishing is certainly better in the Gulf than the bays, both in sizes and variety. And you don't need a boat to catch sharks up here. Plenty are caught off our beaches and piers. Larger species out in the Gulf include tiger sharks, bull sharks, greater hammerheads, makos, and even an occasional great white. There's been a great white caught off the pier. There's been a great white caught off the beach. So, I mean, you never know what you're going to find. There's no fence. Bonitas, stingrays, and jack crevalles all make great baits for these larger sharks when fished off heavy conventional tackle. The smaller coastal sharks include blacktip spinners and sharp-nosed sharks, as well as many others. They're found along the beaches and in the bays, can be caught using live or dead ladyfish, preferred bait, bluefish, and other small baits, and they are quite numerous right now. But big or small, the Panhandle has plenty of shark fishing opportunities, and there's a photo of a really big tiger shark caught this past week off of the beach in Navarre with Tom and Austin shark fishing trips. They released that tiger shark that night, as well as a big hammerhead. So the shark fishermen are very active up in our area.
Wow.
Yeah, man, that's a nice one, Rick.
That's because on a daily.
The amberjacks are on big wrecks and high relief natural bottom. Places like the southwest edge, the Riskin cut-off rigs to the southwest, the Ozark target ship, all good places to find amberjacks. The best bite is with lively baits or fast-moving lures. High-energy baits like hardtails, thread fins, bonitas are excellent for the amberjacks. You want to fish them on a long 60 to 100-pound or maybe a 120-pound leader with a slip sinker appropriate for the depth and current. Once you hook up, keep some other baits fishing. Even if you're off the structure, those other jacks are going to follow that hooked fish, and the struggling is going to fire up those other jacks. You can get multiple bites. And if you don't have the baits, speed jigs are great lures, and on shallower spots, a topwater lure skipped across the surface can be a really good bait. Moving inshore, mangrove snapper fishing, it remains really good in all of our bays. I mean, it's red hot right now. Structure near the inlets and some deeper water are the best areas, but mid-bay structures like bridges are also good. Fort Pickens Pier and structure within Pensacola Bay near the inlet have been particularly good. There's been plenty of small herrings and pilchards around. They're perfect mangrove baits. You would throw a 1/4-inch mesh net so you don't, Christmas tree your net. Load up your live well with baits and chum baits. Use small hooks and leaders as light as 10 or 12 pounds. Freeline your baits or use a couple of small pinch weights if needed. The bay mangroves are running, 11 to 13 inches. So they're not the really big ones you find out in the bay, or out in the Gulf, but they're definitely numerous and there for the taking. Finally, if you want to stay inshore and catch some big fish, Jack Crevalles are your answer. Schools of jacks are cruising all along the Panhandle Bay searching for food, and menhaden and mullet are what they're finding. The menhaden are going to be in the bayou heads, where you have some freshwater influences, and the mullet are along the sand grass flats. So if you're loitering in those areas, fishing for reds or trout, be sure to have a medium heavy spinning rod rigged with a popper or other topwater lure. You can cast a long way. Or if you want to just, look for that opportunity, have your stuff ready and cruise. Jacks are often on a mad dash, so you need to be ready for that opportunity. So cruise that area, look for it, and then capitalize. This time of the year, bay jacks are big. They're often pushing 40 pounds, and they're a pretty awesome topwater bite. And there's a photo there of Kevin Gallagher and his grandson, Chandler Pond, with a big Jack Crevalle Chandler caught in Rocky Bayou this past weekend on a bass assassin paddle tail, 1/4-ounce jig head. And that was an awesome fight for that young man.
So, Pat, you said there was great whites caught off of the pier in the past?
There's been one caught off Navarre Pier and at least one caught off of Pensacola Beach from a surf fisherman, as well as mancos. I mean, we catch mancos every spring.
You know why that is? I just figured it out. Because you have so much bait that walks in and out of the beach every day, all those tourists.
I tell you, it makes me think about all the times I was surfing going, I know more than I used to know.
Yeah, at least on that beautiful white sand you have up there in the Emerald Coast, at least you can see them coming, right?
Yeah, you got time to think about your demise.
All right, 99 Pat Tar, we're going to go and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. He says big triple tail in Apalachicola Bay system around floating debris, crab floats, and maybe a channel marker. Use small live baits under a float. And then offshore, the white marlin in the nipple and the 131 hole area trolling naked and skirted ballyhoo. Pull some dredges for the best results. This time next year, I want to invite you to go shoot a Sportsman's Adventures when we go up there white marlin fishing in late August and September.
I'm good.
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm going. Yes. And
That
everyone
would be so
witnessed
much
it.
fun.
It would be fun. All right, well, we're coming to a conclusion, and we hope you feel better prepared to get out there and catch one. But stay with us just a little longer so we can tell you where we're fishing next week. We'll be right back.
All right.
For the baby. right, well, next week, we're talking piers and jetties. Woo! So make sure you tune in. Won't need a boat to get there. That's the beauty of it. We'll be talking about that next week. I think Shark Week went pretty well. Don't you?
I love the fact that we talk about sharks, and then next week we're going to talk about piers
and jetties.
Yeah, where you can catch sharks.
And you can catch great whites off of piers up in, where all the bait's walking around up there in the Sea Sucker Panhandle region. Anyways, thank you all for being here. Thanks for our live studio audience. We always love having y'all with us. And I hope you get out there and catch some big sharks. We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye. High five. You did a good job. Woo.